Hi, people. This is Deborah. Let me read the disclaimer. All the information provided on this channel is for educational purposes only, and this channel does not promote or encourage misuse of the information. I will mention some alleged happenings this morning rather, and yes, I will give my opinions about some things. My thoughts matter, and so do yours. I will use words not intending to offend people, but to describe my point of view and how I see things. I rely 85% on my intuition, telepathy, and clairvoyance, and I am still learning at age 67. I am an observer of all things, inside and out, including people. I do not follow anything that degrades the woman. Now, what woke me up was these firecrackers. People thinking that we're in the new year. I just want to bring this to your attention, and I'm going to be sharing some experiences I've had with the church. I'm feeling to do that this morning. Um, First of all, if you think about nature, what's new? What months things blossom as new? It's March. So that would be the new year. But don't take my word for it. If you go to Jeremiah 8:8, I think it's Jeremiah 8:8, you will see that it was the pen of the scribes that changed um, everything. And so the new year does not begin in January, it begins in March 21st. Some people uh, use the moon because it's supposed to mean month. Some people use the moon, which is to determine what days are. I did it for a little while, and I want to just share my experiences with you. I'm gonna try to get it all in. Okay. My mother had us in church from 9 o'clock in the morning to uh, 3 or 4 o'clock in the evening. And so we actually, I grew up in church. Uh, then I went to work, and then I left Georgia, and I came back to Georgia, and my mother had a church. She believed in holiness. She believed in prophesying, that kind of stuff. So what she did, she made me the teacher of her church, and so of course I was a diligent studier of the Bible and using the concordance, and so I had to use it because I had to teach Sunday school. I had to teach Bible school, and so I had to apply myself to studies. So when I talk literally, notice I said literally because that's basically what was happening during that time period. That was a period when I was calling on the name Jesus. I had studied everything that supposedly Jesus said in the red writing. Uh, in my mother's church, my mother used to lay hands on people. There was a young lady that said she had AIDS, HIV, and she was pregnant. With my mother laying hands on her, she was supposedly healed, her and the baby. I don't doubt people's experiences. I'm not going to do that. Your experiences is facts to me because that's just how it is for me. Anyway, there was a lady, older lady in the church. She would always be distracted in the church. She would get up and you've seen these kind of people, they just have to have some attention. Well, she was that kind of a person. And the lady had a sex spirit on her. I felt it. And so my little silly self standing in line, uh, standing on the side, called myself going to help my mother if one of these persons fall out on the floor or something. I was going to pick them up. Well, my mother prayed for this lady, and I wasn't quite learned when it came to spirits. Uh, when she laid hands on that lady, that spirit, that sex demon that lady had on her jumped on me. And so my mother touched my neck and she said, "You have the gift of tongues and interpretation of tongues." And I was one of those kind of a person. If I don't see it, I don't believe it. And that's how I was. And I really had a serious problem with people calling themselves prophet and prophetess and just, just lying. But because my mother was the type of person, she would go to those type of churches. And so I would go with her. So I spent quite a time in hanging out in churches, uh, trying to find a place to associate myself with besides my mother, church, because I just wanted to consume myself with people that uh, at that time believed like me. And anyway, so for me to get that spirit off me, I went home and took a shower, and I started praying, and that spirit left me. It couldn't stay because I wasn't the type of person that cared about sex anyway. So that was my first experience with invisible entities. My mother and I went to a church, and when I went in the church, I felt that the preacher, the prophet, was gay. Keep in mind, I've had a gay spirit around me ever since he was a teenager. That would be my son. So I recognized the gay spirit. So I went outside. I felt that he was about to prophesy to me. So I got up and went outside and smoked me a cigarette. When I came back in, my mama said to me, she said, "Deborah, where did you go?" I said, "I went outside." And she said to me, she said, "The prophet wanted to prophesy to you." And in my mind, the prophet wanted to prophesy to me. Because, I was one of those persons. Do you walk according to what the scripture says? Are you living Galatians? Those things, because that was my thing, was Galatians 5. I took myself, my behavior, and I put it up against Galatians 5. The 7 deadly sins. But anyway, so I felt right at that time I was learning how to discern things. And so my mother and I, we went up to Little Rock. She suffered with diabetes, and so she got sick. And when she got sick, she asked me to take her place in the church because she had to preach. But she really didn't preach. She pretty much did prophesying and laying hands. That's the kind of ministry she had. And so just before I got ready to go up on the, I call it stage, it was a lady there that called herself an evangelist. And so she started saying that there was a witch in the house. And I didn't think in terms she was calling me a witch, but that's what she was. So she told the congregation to march around the church. And so when they did what she said, they marched around the church with her. And so I got up there, and it was really funny because I had studied the night before, so I already had prepared what I was going to talk about, literally. Okay? Um, and so I told my mother, I said, Mama, I said, something bad is going to happen to the preacher, because they had revival week. So they had several preachers, so-called preachers there at that church. And so I told my mother, I said, something's going to happen to that man, the preacher, the one that was leading it. And I said to her, I said, and something going to happen to that lady. Well, we got home, and 2 days later, I was sitting down on the floor. My brother had brought his son over for me to keep. And so I kept him. And as I was plaiting his hair up, I was listening to, I think it was WAOK, listening to WAOK. That man, that preacher up there, had got shot 3 times. And he got shot in the eye. The lady that marched around the church, my mama told me she got home and fell dead. And so I was concerned about this because I was going through discernment. I really didn't understand how that stuff worked, but I didn't have nobody to talk to about it, so I just let it do what it did. Then whenever people would be in the room, I literally could hear them talking. I could see through their skin, what their bodies looked like. I could, and so I couldn't talk to anybody about that stuff. But anyway, so I started going to Bible study. I would go to Creflo Dollar's church on Wednesday because he had Bible study. And I would go to Dale Bronner's church. I think it was Tuesday. It's been a long time. I enjoyed Dale Bronner because he spoke so elegantly. I remember one time at Creflo Dollar Church, he brought Benny Hinn in. Benny Hinn is one of those evangelist type preacher as well. He does the laying on hands and you be healed kind of the stuff. But when he was at Creflo Dollar Church, what he did, he brought in somebody laying on the stretcher, and I saw that Creflo Dollar went somewhere and sat down, and Benny Hinn's supposed to have raised this person up out of the stretcher because they couldn't walk or do anything. And it never happened. We saw it, I watched it, and nothing happened. What he called himself doing. So then I went to another church. Dale Bronner and them had brought this guy in. I think he was from Tennessee. He's from one of them locations. And they brought him in, and he called himself prophesying. And I remember I was smoking, and I wanted to stop smoking. And so he said, those of you that are out there that have any type of habits you want to get rid of, come and stand in line. So I went to stand in line. And by the time I got up there, he asked, he said, are there any evangelists in the house? I want y'all to stand up because I want y'all to lay hand on these people. Well, that wasn't going to work for me because I did not allow people to do that. Ever since the experience I had with that spirit jumping off that lady going on me, I was very, very careful not to let people touch me. Anyway, I stood there. Some girl stood in front of me, and she raised her hand back to put strength in her hand because she called herself going to knock me down on the floor. And when she did that, when I saw what she was doing, I just grabbed her hand and held her hand like this and pushed it back. No, baby, I'm a human being. You're not going to hit me in my head. I suffer with headaches, and so that's a very tender spot for me. All right, so then I go to a church which was right up the street. Actually, I was the kids in the apartments where I live. I would do Bible study with them on Fridays, and I did that for 3 years with the children. And then there was a church up the street from where I lived. I went there. Uh, I love to go to Bible study. That was my thing. I preferred Bible study over the church uh, ceremony. I didn't enjoy that. Um, so one of the preachers asked me, well, we was in a meeting, and they were talking about they needed a curriculum for the children. And I had already did one on my computer, so I told them that I had one on a computer that they could use. Since anyway, I brought it to the head preacher. Well, before the head preacher, tried to give it to the people that was over the children ministry, and they kind of ignored me. And so I was talking to the head preacher, and then he told me to give it to him. Now I didn't know this man was going to take and put it in a pamphlet. He took what I had and put it in a pamphlet, which kind of made the preacher and his wife look bad because he put such emphasis on it. And I at that time did not want to. I didn't want to. Whatever your territory was, I didn't want to invade your territory because I'm the type of person, I have my territory. And what I mean by that, at that time, I wasn't real clear in what I was supposed to have been doing, but I was getting there. I was going through different types of initiation, uh, and that's what was going on with me. But anyway, so they used my curriculum that I had put together for the children in the apartment that I have. One day, I was sitting in the church and all I could smell was vagina. And that was, remember, we have the five senses, and we have the sense here that we use, but that sense goes further than the earth. I found out later. At that time, I was experiencing these things that I did not know, but I know that I was being initiated, you know. And so, anyway, my mama told me, she said, you want another husband? Because I was divorced. She said, you want another husband? She said, you have to go and sit yourself in the place where, position yourself in the place so the man can be there. Whatever man you like, that's the man that you position. You just go there, you don't say nothing. And if it's your husband, he'll come to you. Now, this was so funny. I used to watch Dale Bronner, Eddie Long, and Creflo Dollar. They were my three main churches that I went to. And so, as I used to watch Dale Bronner's program, I enjoyed that because I told you he spoke eloquently. And so one day, I was going to Bible study over there at his church. One day, because he never wore his wedding ring, and so I said, okay, well, he's not married, so I'm gonna go and position myself. So if he's looking for a wife, then I'll be positioning, and I always kind of be led by the Spirit. I'm not that type of aggressive type of females like what I see today going on. They're very aggressive. But anyway, I was in the hallway, and guess who came up to me? It was Dale Bronner's mother-in-law. So she spoke to me. We shook hands, and she introduced herself as Dale Bronner's mother-in-law. And then she went to tell me he has a beautiful wife and he has twins. And I said to myself, look at the Most High. Look at the Most High. At that time, I was calling on Jesus. I said, look at there. I said, just kept me from embarrassing myself. So that was that. And I had a suicide spirit on me. So when things wasn't going well for me after I got a divorce, uh, I was laying on the bed, and I didn't get a bed. It was one of those rollaway beds, and I purposely bought that because I didn't want to lay in a bed. Anyway, I was laying down one day, and I was complaining. And when I started complaining, I felt this thing around my waist. It was a python. I knew it immediately what it was. And so what happened with that python, my mother had stuff going on with her legs. She called them demons. So we went to this African church. And I didn't care about the python being wrapped around me because I wanted to die. I really did. Because of nobody could explain to me what was going on with me. And I was going through it. And so the preacher was supposed to went to my mother first, but he was led to come to me. So he asked me to come up front. So I went up front. Him and his wife, he took his jacket off, and him and his wife called themselves praying on me. The more they prayed for me, the more that python started squeezing my stomach. And that python squeezed me so much to the point that I actually speak in a language that I don't know. I'm not sure what that language is. But as I was speaking in that language, that python unwrapped itself from around my waist and disappeared. But that poor man and his wife were sweating so hard. Well, because it wasn't for them to pray that python off me. It was for me to let it go. And I did. Let's see what else. Let's see. That was crap. Oh, Eddie Long. Eddie Long had a young lady that went to his church, but she used to be a singer at this club called 20 Grand. Her name was Shell. And she had throat cancer. And her whole family was going to Eddie Long's church. And so I told Shell, she was hooked up to so many different equipment, she couldn't speak. Because she had cancer in the throat. Anyway, I told her, I said, Shell, I'm going to come down here with you until you come up. They had diagnosed her to die. I told her, I said, I'm going to come down here with you until you walk out this hospital. And I'm going to be the first one to hear you talk. That's what I told her. So I went to see her. Not every day, but each week, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And then finally, one day I went in there. Well, let me go back up a little bit. I went to see her one time, and her sister, because she was a part of Eddie Long's church, she said Eddie Long was going to come and pray for her sister. Well, Eddie Long never made it. So she was basically letting me know, we don't want you to come in and pray for my sister. We want, my preacher to come in and do it. I ignored her because I liked this Shell, and Shell was a cool girl. And I felt the spirit on the sister, so I know what type of person she was. Because back during that period, I was seeing things, hearing things, and there was healing at that time going on. So the sister Shell, I was the first one to see her, and she had a trick in the throat. And she said, she talked to me. I was the first one, just like it went just the way it went. So she was healing. So one night, they called my mother and told my mother that my brother was about to die and that we need to get down to the hospital. And we did. It was at midnight. So we went to see him. He was beat up. What happened was he got off from work, and they they beat him up. They beat him so bad, and so they beat him so bad to the point where the doctors didn't anticipate him surviving. So I went in there. My mama went in there, and of course I started praying, and I went to his room every day. It took him almost a month to come out of that coma. He was in a coma. And the doctor told me, he said, he's not going to survive this, early on, he told me, before the month was up. He said he's not going to survive this. He has brain damage. Whoever was beating him with a bat, they beat him with a bat, and he was a little guy. He was very tiny. And anyway, I went there every day, and I told the doctor, I said, do you believe in God? I said, well, I'm going to tell you this. I said, I believe in God, and my brother is not going to be brain dead. He's going to know who I am, and he's going to live. So what happened was, when the doctor was in the room with me, I took and grabbed my brother's hand, and I said to him, I said, Antonio, if you know who I am, squeeze my hand. He did. He squeezed my hand. Anyway, that brother is now, he's not brain dead. He's very alert. He knows what he's doing. He remembers my birthday, all his family members' birthday. And he's such a good guy. He is. He's one of a kind. He's one of a kind. Okay. Now, I still had this suicide spirit on me. With what I was experiencing, going through, I went through a divorce, and just things was happening in my personal life that I didn't particularly care about. And nobody could explain to me what was really going on with me. Anyway, people have always called me a witch. People always have something to say about stuff that they don't quite understand. When people are ignorant of things, they actually says negative things about you. When they, and it just anyway. So I tried to kill myself. I went down the wrong expressway and hit an 18-wheeler, and I was drunk. And so my face was it was really funny. I was in a coma. When I got to the hospital, it's this lady that knew my mother. And my face was all swollen up. I don't know how that woman knew who I was. And she never works a late shift at all. It was a late shift. Because I went to the club. Uh, this is when I stopped dealing with churches. And so I went to a club and I decided to just end it all. But anyway, the lady said to me, she said, Deborah, is that you? I had woke up out the coma, y'all. And I told her, yeah. She said, well, I'm about to call your mother right now. I went back into the coma. When I went back into the coma, I was there for a few days. I was still in the coma. So anyway, when I finally woke up, I was in a lot of pain. And they told me that what happens, Grady told me, it was Grady Hospital, they told me that when people come down there and they've been drinking, that the police have a ticket on their bed. Well, guess what? There was no ticket on my bed. So anyway, the doctor told me that all my bones was broken. They were trying to put a plate in my head. And I told them, no, I'm not, I ain't no plate going in my head. So he told me this happened in October the 31st. I never forget it. Halloween's. And it's called All Souls Night. But anyway, so I told him, I said, I'm going to walk again. And so that happened October the 31st. I had to go back and see the doctor in November. And then when he looked at my x-rays, he put my x-rays up where everything was crushed. And then he put x-rays up of what he just had taken of mine. And he was just staring and staring and staring. And I said to him, I said, what's wrong? And he said to me, I don't understand this. I've done 1,000,000 of these. He said, I've never seen nothing like this. I said, what is it that you're talking about? So he showed my x-rays where all my bones was crushed. And then he showed the x-rays where I did not have any crushed bones. And I had already told my mama, I said, I'm gonna these casts are coming off my legs. Because I was taking a clothes hanger, sticking it down there, trying to scratch. But anyway, he said to me, he said, can I take the cast off your legs? I said, yeah. So when he took the cast off my legs was so tiny, probably about the size of the bottom part of my hand. It was so tiny. And so when I stood up, the floor felt real heavy. But I knew I was going to walk again. And so I went years, and it didn't bother me much because I kept doing exercise and stuff. But it's only in these past few years that my legs are bothering me now. So I didn't experience anything after I went through probably about maybe a month after that he took the cast off. After that, I didn't experience no pain, no nothing. Like I said, it just started happening over the years now. Okay, so there was a young lady. Her name was Angela, and her and I used to go out and pray for people. That's what we do. You know how the Jehovah's Witnesses would go out in twos? With her and I, we would go and pray for people, and literally things happen. And that's why I am, because I am a miracle person. I believe in miracles. You can call it magic. You can call it miracles. You can call it whatever you want to call it. It's real. And I just wanted to talk about those things. And, because the thing of it is, I don't believe in a man called Jesus. I went through that process. Then I went to, mouth is dry. I have spasms. Uh, I When I started studying Hebrew, they tried to make Joshua over in the Old Testament. They want to say Yah is salvation. I believe that's what it means. Yah is salvation. Okay, they say that Joshua was Jesus, and so that didn't fly with me, uh, because there was no J's during the time this Jesus supposed to been walking up, but there was a Y. So they removed the J and put the Y there and call it Yehoshua. So I started calling on that name, or Yahshua. And so it seemed like I was getting attacked a lot. Entities attacking me. Incubus, succubus came along. That's how I know about incubus and succubus. And that's how I know about the darkness of things, because I experienced them. But I had to go in that direction to experience it, to know that that crap is real. It's real, and people today is in bondage because of all that stuff that they don't quite understand. I don't mind sharing my personal life with people if I think it may be helpful to them. Uh, so don't just look at Miss Deborah and say, "Oh, she is so strong." I went through a lot. You know what I'm saying? I went through a lot of letting go of the material world. See, when you get to a place of letting go of the material world, then you get to see you. You get to see the beautiful person that you are. And most of my life, I told you I had to be the masculine person, and I have been gradually dealing with the feminine part of me. And because I'm dealing with the feminine part of me, I am more magnetic than electric. I'm more electron. I'm more of magnetic than electric. And I tell you why, because it used to be a time where I would cut on light switches and the bulbs would blow up. And so as I learn more about myself and more of the spiritual world, I'm becoming more magnetic. I don't know where people think that electric comes before magnetic. It doesn't. The magnetic is the spirit realm. The electric is earth realm. You know that you are elevating because you're no longer in your masculine. I'm talking to the women right now. It's important that you realize that you are feminine and masculine. Your soulmate is your feminine and your masculine inside of you. Your soulmate is not outside of you. One of the things that I realized that people really have a problem. If the preachers ain't preaching that, then they have a problem with somebody else talking about it. And also, I realized too, in dealing with people have a problem with a woman talking versus a male talking. And it's like males can say anything in this YouTube channel, and females believe it. And they're not our teachers. Males are not our teachers. We are the woman. The woman is feminine and masculine, and she was in this planet first. And a man can't tell you. You have to know from yourself, within yourself. That's why a lot of times people live, women, let me speak to the women for a second. That's why women live in hermit mode. You're trying your best to get a man, and the man don't seem to surface. He's not going to surface because you're made to be a hermit. because you have to do some things for yourself. You have to get to know yourself. See, if you don't know yourself, you ain't gonna know that man you trying to be with. That's why many marriages don't work, because nobody took the time to know themselves. You gotta know yourself first, because once you know yourself first, then you know what kind of male that you need to be with. And same thing with you, at male. You got to know yourself to know what type of woman you need to be with. Don't go by the looks. The looks of deception. It deceives people. Many times I see men and I just sit back and look at them. They're very physical. Excuse me. Men are very physical. They go by what they see. And a woman, she'll take you no matter what you look like. And you should do the same. But as long as that person knows themselves, because it makes it so easy when a person knows themselves. So much easy. When you don't know yourself, just like men talk about wet dreams, I think they're succubus. If you're having a wet dream, you're actually having sex with succubus, which is a spirit. Incubus, which is a spirit. I know, because it happened to me. It happened. See, all that stuff, because I'm an earth person. I am an earth person. So all that stuff that I'm talking about, I pretty much experience it. And that is facts for me. That's why I say your experience is factual. If somebody writes something in a book and they tell you King James, let's just say King James was a homosexual, we're going to use that. There's a lady out there that says that she's a relative of King James. Now, saying that King James was a homosexual, is that fact or is it non-factual? The reason why it's non-factual to me is because King James didn't say he was a homosexual. You see? And so if I write a book, I'm going to write a book and you say I wrote the book. That's factual. But what is put in the book is not always factual. You have your experience. Your experience is very factual. But if I write in the book that Creflo Dollar did a speech in YouTube saying that tithing had nothing to do with money, which I told people years ago that had nothing to do with money. Tithing means a tenth. And if in fact you want to deal with the Old Testament, now I'm going to give you, and Jesus said, I'm just saying that it's not true. The character is not true. He didn't come to do away with the laws. He says that right there in Matthew. Whoever the Essenes is, that the Essenes, which is the brotherhood that wrote this thing in the Coptic Ethiopian. That's who wrote this book. But that it's been revised. But he says, Creflo Dollar finally said it. And I guess many of you are going to wait for a preacher to tell you. Some of them ain't going to tell you. You know what I'm saying? Now, I heard, allegedly, that when he said that, some of the people asked for their money back. I don't know. Allegedly. That's what I heard. And so my thing is, I got so much respect for people that use this for themselves. Don't be led by people. I tell you, even with me, I've been studying this for a long time, but guess what? For many, many years, I was blindly, literally reading the Bible, literally, and knowing that the Bible today, the Bible is not a literal book. It has some untruths in there. It has allegories. It's allegory, and it's allegory about you and how you operate in the cosmos, specifically the sun, the sun. And you know that the sun is a star? It's a star before it becomes a sun. Now the moon is a satellite. It's a satellite. And I have literally seen, I told you, the man in the moon. He was a very dark man, looking very ancient, wearing a beard, a beard mustache, and had braids. That's what I saw. And I'm trying to find it in the holy tablets that was done by Malachi York. Because I remember the man in the moon. I remember seeing him in Malachi York holy tablet book. The thing of it is you have to do some research in all the cultures, and when you find it there, when you do research in all the cultures, you will find that they have a male savior. Men can't save women. The women have to save themselves. It's inside of them. And they know that. The writers of the book, they know that. Because they got the information from the women. Automatically, when you respect yourself, it's easy for you to respect others. But you have to learn to respect yourself first. There are certain people, when you show fear, they have no respect for you. But when you show that you support yourself, they have respect for you. You know, these particular people don't care for people that will bow down to them. They don't care for that. They prefer people that will stand up and defend themselves. You know, there are some things that is magical in this Bible, very demonic in this Bible, very demonic. You have to be very careful with this thing. It's very demonic. Certain scriptures and stuff. You know, some people call them, what do they call them? Rituals. They're called rituals. As you sing it, as you say it, some parts when you in the Old Testament, you see when you quoting scriptures and stuff, you're giving energy to those that think they are in power because you don't understand the words, and you have to be careful with the word. I give you Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I'm going to give you that. Who's the Lord? Go look it up. Lord. Who's the shepherd? Who's the shepherd? Okay, and that's important because that's not the Creator's name. She's not called the shepherd. She's not called the Lord. When you speak those words, you're giving power to those energies, those people that think they're in authority, that think they're running this planet. You're giving power to them. Like I told you, I'm going to say the most melanated people. The most melanated people are the ones with the energy. So those with less melanin or no melanin will send forth subliminal message so it can go into your psyche so you can give power to that because they have no power. You are the one giving them power. You're the one. Think about the word melatonin. We didn't start getting melatonin until those people in Hades was dying. And then all of a sudden, melatonin shows up in the grocery stores, shows up in the drug stores. Also, I remember when we used to go to the DMV, they would ask if you say when you pass you donating parts of your body, they're not. They'll give you your license at a discount. Well, when Hades took place, they didn't ask for that no more. There's so many things going on, and you ask yourself why nothing has changed. Nothing has changed because you haven't changed. You're still calling on this fictitious Jesus that does not exist. Seraphis, just like what where's that guy? There's one guy out there talking about that, and he puts emphasis on that, and he knows because he is he's a fraternity guy. He's a Mason, so he knows, and he's probably 33. You see, my name, Deborah, has the gematria of 3. So you know that I know all about 3, 6, 9, and 12 because I've had to study those numbers. When you look at the 111, that's the number 3. When you see 222, that's the number 6. When you see 333, that's the number 9. So the earth is 369. But the woman has 12. And the reason why the woman has 12 because she has to bring forth life within her body. You know. But I'm not going to focus too much on that. I just want to come out and just let you know my experience. So where am I today? I'm at, the Bible is very much allegory to me. So when I go and talk about scriptures, I'm not a Christian. I've never been a Christian. Because Christians go to church and they listen to what the pastors tell them. A non-Christian study for themselves. Okay, if you are the 3 most dangerous religion, it's Christianity, Islam, and there's another one, Judaism. Those are religion. I'm not a religious person. You know, it would be highly crazy for me. Let's just go back to the Jesus story for a second. Jesus says he's whoever the writer was said that Jesus was the mediator between man and God. So why is that man there? It's just basic stuff. You know, why is the man there? If this Jesus, supposed to written in red, says that he's the mediator between man and God, why is that man there? You keep putting the man between you and yourself. You don't have to. Because allegorically, the Christ is within you. Adam wasn't a real person. Adam is Atom. The snake in the garden is the Kundalini. The snake represents the Kundalini. If you look at the hospitals, they have the symbol. 2 snakes going up a pole. You know. So when people talk to me, I know where you are. Because I've been doing this for a long time. Long time. The reason why I used the Bible because I know many people are still in it. And I put what I put out there so you can go and study for yourself. You know? And I'm fortunate. I was one of the fortunate ones. You know, the Most High made sure I learned what I needed to learn. But anyway, I'm not going to continue talking. I just wanted to bring that to your attention to let you guys know that we're not in the new year. The new year begins at spring. Everything is new. Everything is new. Go back and you'll see. Go look at the time. Some of your appointed leaders turn back the time. So that lets you know they've been doing that for quite some time now. But anyway, people, thanks for watching. Take care.